Alright, so, what even is a soul, anyway? Chapter 15, Storm. And I apologize in advance.
Oh no.
You jerk awake and scramble frantically out of bed, your heart racing. Drops of cold water run down your forehead and into your eyes. You blink them away and see Toriel sitting by your bed, a damp cloth clutched in one hand. She's staring at you in shock.
Frisk, are you all right?
Or... You look at her blankly, not registering your name at first. Frisk. That's right. You run to the mirror and scrutinize your reflection, searching desperately for assurance that you're still yourself. Your hand reaches forward until it's touching the glass, its fingers spread out on the mirror's surface. Your reflection copies the action. You stare into its eyes, trying to make out their color in the half-light.
It's me,
you slur out.
Frisk, I think you were having a nightmare. I was?
You ask, processing her words in slow motion.
Yes, you were talking in your sleep.
Oh. You finally break eye contact with the person in the mirror and turn back to Toriel.
I like how it says the person in the mirror and not just...
Your reflection.
Yeah.
What did I say?
You said, don't eat them, a couple of times. And you were telling me to leave you alone. I'm sorry about the water in your eyes,
she adds, gesturing with the cloth.
I was trying to bring your fever down.
You pull away the damp strands of hair dangling in front of your eyes and notice how shaken Toriel looks. You must have scared her a lot. Your body still feels like garbage, but not quite as bad as before when you went to sleep. Toriel comes over. You let her check your temperature again. She sighs in relief.
I think the fever is broken now, she tells you. How do you feel?
You lift your arms slightly, your joints protesting at the motion. Still pretty awful, you groan. But better. Do you have any water? Your throat is painfully dry. Toriel hands you a glass from the bedside table.
Here.
You gulp it down in seconds.
I think I need a shower,
you say.
Good idea. Do you think you could manage some soup now?
Yeah, I think so.
Excellent. I'll have it ready.
She pats your shoulder and makes for the door. Thanks, you say. I hope I didn't worry you too much.
It's quite all right, dear. It is my job to worry about you.
After you shower, you change back into your own clothes, including your now dry blue and purple sweater. You feel a bit more like yourself now that you've ditched Kara's outfit, but the lingering anxiety of your nightmare is hard to dispel. Were you reliving their moments? Or was it just a version of events that your brain pieced together from what you already knew? You can't think of any way to tell. You enter the dining room where Toriel is putting out a bowl of chicken soup. You see that her place is empty. The clock on the wall tells you it's 9 in the evening. Did you already eat? You ask.
Yes, I had dinner while you were asleep. I watered Flowey as well.
Cool. After your disastrous visit to Waterfall, you'd almost forgotten the reason you went there in the first place. With nothing to show for your efforts, except a bad cold and a wasted weekend, you almost wish you hadn't bothered. You go back to bed once after eating. Between your unsettling dreams and physical ickiness, neither sleep nor consciousness really appeal. But Toriel's pretty big on maintaining healthy sleep schedules, and you might as well make her happy. You end up waking up much earlier than usual, but then spend most of the morning moping around the house and binging on anime rather than doing anything productive. It only seems to have gotten warmer since yesterday, and even indoors the atmosphere is heavy. Your appetite isn't back to normal, definitely, but with Toriel's encouragement, you coax down a small lunch. She has her phone out at the table. unusual for her, and after typing for a bit, she asks,
"Is it all right by you if Asgore pops over this afternoon, Frisk?"
"Huh?
"Oh, sure." "Wonderful. He's going to be in town visiting the monsters who moved in yesterday, and his schedule is pretty packed for the next couple of weeks, so today works out best. He's been meaning to give Flowey a visit, you see."
Of course. You don't push the issue, but you are surprised to see Toriel so relaxed about inviting Asgore into her home. You suppose she really took Miss Baxter's advice to heart.
"I'll let him know," she says, picking up her phone again. "He knows you're still unwell, so you needn't feel obliged to come and play host to him. And if you'd rather he hold off until you're better, that is fine as well. Yeah, don't worry about it. He can come."
Asgore's visiting doesn't bother you, but you appreciate her offering you the out. It's mid-afternoon when Asgore arrives. You're still in your room, messing about online and ruminating on your dream, but you hear Toriel open the front door and greet him brightly. Very brightly.
"Good afternoon. Come in, come in. Would you like some tea?"
"Oh, well, if you're sure it's not any trouble."
"Not at all," Toriel assures him. "Consider it thanks for looking after Frisk the other day. The dining room is through here. Let me take your coat."
Their conversation fades, leaving you to puzzle over Toriel's sudden turnaround. You're pretty sure that until your accident, she had had no contact at all with Asgore since the time she called him a pathetic whelp and declared that they would never so much as be friends again. Still, grown-ups interact in weird ways sometimes. This must just be one of those things. You lie on your bed and go over the dream again. The garden looked fairly generic. You're not sure you'd be able to tell the real one even if you saw it. The locket and dagger you've held before, so them showing up doesn't prove anything. The bowl that held the flowers wasn't that distinctive, nor was the bag. Azrael himself you've seen. The same goes for the interior of his house. And you looked up the symptoms of Buttercup poisoning yourself some months ago, so even the memory of your own painful death. Well, I don't know, I guess just a curiosity about what Kara had gone through, maybe? Morbid curiosity, perhaps?
And her hair was very bad.
Yeah, I think it is pretty
I
bad.
still don't get why everybody says that they itch if you touch them, because I don't think that's true.
Well, let's see. I believe I may have looked this up myself since I involved a Buttercup story.
And it will say that. But
Yeah.
if you have actually ever picked buttercups,
Yes.
it's like
Probably a
for
certain kind.
like decoration,
Yeah.
they don't make your hands itch at all.
Have you picked Buttercups?
Yeah.
Oh. Are you still alive?
I hope so.
Okay, good.
Well, we
yeah,
have
I don't know.
flowers
Maybe
around,
there's...
and I've gotten bouquets of flowers that have wild buttercups.
I don't know. Maybe it's just
And they
different varieties. Maybe some varieties
There
are
other
more...
varieties, but
have potent oils or...
I assume the little yellow ones are the most common. so.
I don't know. I mean, and there are yellow flowers that we might call buttercups that may not actually be buttercups.
I think they...
Maybe they're real buttercups. I don't know.
Look it up. I am like 99.5% sure they're real.
Well, I did enough research to get my story written.
I know.
And then I fled from the topic.
People are like, it makes their hands itch or whatever. But I have never had that happen.
Well, I don't know what to tell you.
Okay.
And, yeah, I don't know. Well, let's go on. And you've looked up the symptoms of Buttercup poisoning yourself some months ago, so even the memory of your own painful death could be imagined. The poem. Of course. The oath that Kara and Azrael took in your dream.
The memory of your painful death.
Mm-hmm. You had never heard those words before last night. You suppose they could have been a fabrication of your fevered brain, but if it's a real monster tradition, then that would prove Kara is really still with you, and more powerful than you dare believe. You struggle to remember the words. Something about death and endless darkness. If you want monster history, your best bet is Toriel's books, which are all still in the greenhouse. You look out of your window and see that Asgore and Toriel are in there right now. You keep an eye on them until they come out a minute or two later. Toriel locks the door and they go back inside. There's a distant clink of china and the sound of muffled conversation in the kitchen. You do your best to wait patiently until the voices have moved into the dining room. If Toriel has kept the key on her, you'll have no hope of getting it. But if she's put it back into the safe, you might just have a shot.
Oh no.
Once you're sure Asgore and Toriel aren't moving about, you venture into the hallway. You can hear their conversation as you approach the dining room door.
And Kessa on the infrastructure board, he was a prime example,
Toriel is saying. Oh, goodness, I remember, says Asgore, laughing in a low rumble. It was he who tried to torpedo that whole bridge project in Hotland because the puzzles were vent-based instead of block-based, wasn't it?
It was.
You can hear the smile in Toriel's voice.
He was so old-fashioned.
They're distracted now, so it seems like as good a time as any to make your move.
Why is he trying to sneak and get the key?
Because he's not allowed in the greenhouse anymore.
Wait, he's not? Oh.
Look, there's nothing wrong with this plan. I can't think of any reason not to do it. You stroll through the dining room, trying to look as nonchalant as possible.
Do you need something, Frisk?
Toriel asks, moving to stand up.
I'm just going outside for some fresh air.
You lie, carrying on towards the kitchen.
Excellent. It seems like you're on the mend,
she says cheerily. You pull the kitchen door closed behind you to block their line of sight, and then go straight to the back door, opening it and closing it so it sounds like you've gone out already. The windows are open in an effort to counteract the heat, which makes for a bit of extra background noise to disguise your actions. Asgore and Toriel's conversation resumes, and you tiptoe to the safe and carefully twist the combination lock. You're in luck. Toriel hasn't changed the code since you lost greenhouse privileges. She must trust you not to go out there without her permission, which makes you feel kind of bad. But this is important. You lift the key out carefully from the safe, keeping the noise to a minimum.
Why didn't you just ask for the books? Get Toriel to get them for you.
Well, maybe she'd want to know why.
Tell her you learned something when you were in the underground.
She might want to know what.
I don't know, or saw
What is
something
it?
interesting. Oh, like that.
Tell me all about what you want to know, Frisk. I can probably tell you.
No, that maybe that sign on the wall was gone.
Oh.
Say it was old monster history, and so she'll be like, oh, and then you say, can I see the monster history books? And she'll be like, okay, and gets them.
Well, I could do that, certainly, but is there anything in particular you want to know about that sign?
But surely you could just
Death oaths? What are you talking about death oaths for, Frisk?
No, but surely Frisk could just say that you wanted to rest or something and read. Surely it wouldn't be hard to ask to read the books.
Well, I don't know.
I feel like
This just seems like...
this.
Then you go over to the door and open it a second time, as quietly as possible, so you can slip out into the garden. You walk briskly down towards the greenhouse, getting more impatient the closer you get to your goal. You unlock the door and go in. Flowey emerges from his pot at the sound.
Oh, it's you,
he says.
I knew it was.
You ignore him and go right for the books. There are 2 boxes, fiction and non-fiction. You rummage through the latter looking for anything that might have what you need.
Oh, are we not talking anymore?
Asks Flowey. You cast aside 100 Ways to Cook a Snail and A Spider's Guide to Textiles and dig deeper. You want something about monster history and culture.
Cool,
continues Flowey.
This is the kind of childish nonsense I'm really going to miss in my new digs. I don't know if Undyne told you that I'm moving out.
I'm looking for a book, you say curtly. The truth is, you're frightened to even be in the same room as Flowey when your grip on reality feels so tenuous. What would happen if Kara took control and got to him? You don't want to find out.
Well, no duh,
He sneers.
What book?
Finally, you find something that looks promising. A History of Monster Martial Arts by none other than Gerson Boom. It's clearly ancient, dog ears on the page, its tattered dust jacket barely holding together. You turn around so Flowey can't look over your shoulder and turn to the index page at the back. "Martial arts, huh?" he says. When you don't respond, he makes a disgruntled noise and turns away. Oath is the first word under the O heading. It appears on just one page in the whole book. You flick through to that page, your heart pounding, and read. Before battles, particularly those where the combatants faced a high chance of defeat at the hands of their opponents, it was traditional for monsters to take an oath to prove their commitment to the cause. Monsters' martial culture emphasizes the necessity of fighting even in the face of certain failure. Desertion was inconceivable for any honorable warrior. The oath would sometimes be recited by commanding officers and their soldiers together, or in the case of a single combat, by the champion and their second. In the latter case, both parties would conduct a ritual shedding of dust after taking the oath. The words are as follows: "As we march into the fight, the pain of death and endless night." That's all you need to read. You shut your eyes and lean back on the greenhouse wall, not bothering to stifle the groan of despair that rises from your chest. Kara's back. Not a dream, not a hallucination, not even a disassociated manifestation of your own conflicted psyche or any garbage like that. They already have enough power to take away your menu, and their memories are creeping into your dreams. How much longer before they seize control altogether? You snap the book shut and stand so fast you go lightheaded. Steadying yourself against the wall, you cast the book back into the box like it burned you. You can't avoid looking at Flowey when you turn to leave, and you can't deny that you get a vindictive sense of pleasure from the utter confusion on his face. How's that for mind games? It's only once you've strode over to the door and pulled it open that he speaks. "What are you doing, Frisk?" You sigh. "I told you I came to look up something in a book." "That's not what I mean," he says, an uncharacteristic weariness in his voice. "I mean, what are you doing with everything?" You're not sure what to make of that. He continues. "Wiping out the whole underground, and then going back and saving everyone, bringing me up to the surface and then letting them take me right back without even putting up a fight. Almost getting yourself killed in Waterfall." How does he know about that? You suppose Toriel must have filled him in. "Dragging Asgore and Toriel here together and coming back into the greenhouse on my last day just to look at a book and leave?" He exhales heavily. "What does it all mean?" You stare out at the house as you mull it over, wondering how best to answer, how to justify all these things you can't even explain to yourself. The conversation coming from the dining room erupts into two peals of laughter, one high, one low, that float down to the garden and through the greenhouse door. "And now this," Flowey adds. "Whatever you're doing right now." You turn around. I'm not doing anything right now." Yes, you are. I don't know what it is or how. Yeah. He hangs his head. "I just don't understand." You don't understand either. In fact, you don't think you and Flowey have ever been on such utterly different wavelengths as you are right now. Even when you were at each other's throats, you sensed that there was some basic understanding between you, born out of shared experiences, if nothing else. But now, something's shifted. It's like there's some change in the atmosphere of the whole greenhouse, some kind of aura that's familiar but new at the same time. Impossible to miss, but impossible to identify either. You need to leave. I don't know, you confess. I don't know what's going on. I'm sorry. Well then, he says lightly, picking himself back up. I guess this is goodbye. I guess. I can still visit. Yeah, if you want. Well, you back out of the door and fish the key out of your pocket. Bye. Bye. You swing the door shut carefully, mindful that you're still breaking the rules by being here, then turn the key in the lock, jostling it to make sure it's secure, then turn to walk back up the garden. Your eyes take in a mass of dark clouds mustering themselves on the horizon, their contours thrown into relief by the sunlight. A half-hearted breeze toys with the branches of the big pine tree and then abandons them. You walk back to the house, the warm, muggy air weighing on your shoulders with each step you take. Asgore doesn't leave until the early evening. He and Toriel spend the entire time talking in the dining room, but you hear no more laughter or exclamations from either of them. Just steady conversation in voices too low for you to make out. For your part, you stay holed up in your room, distracting yourself from your litany of worries with a steady stream of anime. It's not until the aroma of caramelized onions reaches your room, telling you that dinner is near.
Caramelized onion?
Well,
Caramel, like,
yeah, it's not with
sauce.
Yeah, it's not like with caramel,
It's
but
a type of...
it's like when they're cooked
things.
and they start to get kind of burnt, and yeah, it's good. That your stomach, and a sense of politeness, forces you to venture out into the dining room. It's French onion soup, thankfully minus the melted cheese, which you're definitely too fragile to handle right now. It is pretty good. Toriel makes the usual inquiries about your health as she serves up, and you do your best to reassure her. Your cold is progressing through the usual stages. Your joints still hurt, but your temperature is much more stable, and the uncontrollable sneezing has been replaced by an uncomfortable congestion in your sinuses. Toriel seems satisfied that the worst is now over, but you can't share in her relief. All your physical symptoms are negligible in comparison to the existential dread now preying on your mind. You cast about for a conversation topic to distract yourself. So, you and Asgore, you begin. Did you... You're not sure what to say. Have a nice afternoon? Make up? Get back together? It's not your business either way. Toriel sighs.
We'll have to wait and see. He and I, well, you know the broad strokes. I don't think things will ever go back to how they once were, but so much is changing now that the barrier's gone. We agreed that we couldn't just leave things as they were forever.
She takes long pauses, choosing the words carefully, and there's definitely an edge of sadness to her voice.
I accidentally asked all the questions.
You lift a spoonful of soup to your mouth, and then put it back down again.
Sorry, maybe I shouldn't have asked. It's all right, dear, she smiles. You want to know where you stand. Let's just say you needn't brace for any major changes.
Sure, you say, returning to your soup. Towards the end of the meal, a sudden noise makes you and Toriel start. For a moment, you think it might be a car engine or something falling over in the next room, but as it drags on, you recognize it as distant thunder. Toriel, who had sat up alert, relaxes and laughs.
Ah, this must be the long-awaited thunderstorm, she comments. That'll be good for the garden.
Sure enough, by the time you finish up and take the dishes back into the kitchen...
Wait, did they mean the backyard or like the garden where you grow
I
plants?
think the actual garden.
Okay.
I don't know, we are in British territory here, so...
English is weird.
Yeah,
Yes, well, we'll be sure to let yet another persona know that his English is a problem, and that he might want to consider...
Australian English.
Oh, yeah. Well, like, why do they spell tire with a Y? doesn't work.
Look, I think probably we're the interlopers here when it comes to speaking. What was the language called? Oh, English.
English.
Yeah, so we might, yeah,
English
Yeah, but why are you so tired with that?
American English.
In the dream, it said that Kara and Hazriel were in the garden.
Mm.
I think that's also the actual garden.
Could have been, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't honestly know
I was
if
picturing them
if
like
there's a
that's
separate
the
word for
road.
garden, like your backyard, and garden for your place where you grow plants and veggies. I don't know.
Two words that are the same but different.
It's a little confusing if you read a book and you don't know it's British, and they're like, "Let's take a walk through the garden," and they like keep doing that like throughout
And there's
the
no
book.
flowers or vegetables anywhere.
And then,
There's just
but
like,
I think they do just say like weeding the garden and stuff like that for the actual garden too. So just like
All right. Well, I'm sure your criticisms of English have hit home, and doubtless there will be
I do
updates.
like have biscuits. I do like biscuits and chips, meaning cookies and fries or whatever.
Yeah.
I do like those two words.
But then what would you get if you wanted a real biscuit? Like a good old southern
I
biscuit.
don't know. Ask them what the English call those.
I don't know if they have those.
What?
Well, I don't know.
aren't like
They probably do
aren't there
have biscuits,
chips
but I
and
don't know.
crisps?
There's our chips.
Crisps
I think-
are chips and chips are French fries.
Yeah, so fish and chips is fish and French fries, which I didn't know for a long time. When I was little, I used to think it was like fish and tortilla chips.
Yeah, I'm not sure chips are French fries.
I'm pretty sure they are.
All right, well, I'm showing my own ignorance here.
I'm pretty
So I'm going back to the story. We
Wait,
go.
Google, I need to know
Nope.
this because I always thought chips were French
Nope,
fries.
you can look it up later.
Okay, well, if I'm
Sure enough, by the time you finish up and take the dishes back to the kitchen, the window into the back garden is already peppered with raindrops that only intensify
I thought
as the
the window
minutes
was
go
open.
by. I'm sure they shut it. That was like,
That's true. Good
That was-
observation.
goodness. I'm sure they closed the window earlier when the
This
rain.
proves we were listening.
Yes, it does prove you're listening, barely. Soon the rain is drumming the roof hard enough that you need to raise your voices slightly to speak over it, and the drops on the windows have graduated to little rivulets that pour down the edges of each pane. You wonder what it's like in the greenhouse. It's too dark and wet to see out into the garden, and Flowey doesn't seem to have the TV on, so you can't use that as a reference point. Normally you quite like the rain, but tonight it makes you just more agitated, something the occasional rumble of thunder doesn't help with. You decide to go straight to bed, desperate to escape into sleep as soon as possible.
Sleep is dead. At least in this thing, because
True.
Kara is sleep.
Yikes.
Sleep is sleep.
Wow.
I love that.
Wow.
I mean,
Is that
sleep
like-
is Kara.
Is that just for the story, or is that kind of your life motto?
No, just the story.
Wow.
Kara.
Sleep is
No, the other way around.
time to go to sleep. No, Daddy, sleep is death.
Dad?
Isn't that what you said?
No, it says sleep is Kara.
Where did you? I thought before that you said.
Bad.
I thought before that you said sleep is death.
No, Kara. Apparently those are interchangeable.
All I heard was sleep is death.
Kara.
We'll have to check the tape to see. But what I heard.
Kara.
Well,
All right.
on this timeline, they're kind of interchangeable.
You decide to go straight to bed, desperate to escape into sleep as soon as possible. I'm going to get an early night, you tell Toriel once everything's cleared away. Good idea, she responds. You are still recovering after all. You're not so sure about that. You glance nervously at the mirror at intervals during your evening routine, as if hoping to catch Kara by surprise, as if you'd ever be able to tell the difference should they take control. And at this rate, you'll drive yourself crazy. No outside assistance required. Your neck hair stands on end at each new roll of thunder, and when the first flash of lightning appears through your window, you whip around like a startled animal, looking for something to fight. There's nothing there, of course. The distant wind pipes out a rising and falling pitch, the taunting "ooh" of a playground bully. This is ridiculous, you think, yanking your curtains shut. Just go to sleep already. Sleep, of course, doesn't come easy. You lie awake, probing your own thoughts for some trace of Kara's influence, jumping at each thunderclap, until your brain finally wears itself out and you have no choice but to drift off. The wind is howling. Just like before, you find yourself in a boundless void. Space stretches out forever in all directions. There's nothing here except you and the storm. And Kara. "It's over!" they shout, their voice sailing towards you on the wind. "You failed!" "No, I won't give up on him!" "Idiot! Haven't you learned a thing? He'll always let you down in the end. They all will!" They spread their arms wide, and the wind rushes around them, carrying a spiral of glowing dust that slowly coalesces into a familiar pattern. "There is only one way that this ends!" they declare. There, bracketed by their outstretched arms, is your menu. Even though it's an eternity away, you read the shining words with ease. Save, load, reset. You struggle to cross the vast distance, to snatch it away from them, but the wind blows against you, and the rain is blinding in your eyes. "Give it back!" you scream, defiant. "Give it back!" "It was never yours!" yells Kara, scathing. "Neither of us can use it alone!" The wind whips their hair in front of their wild eyes. "Then keep it!" you yell. "I'll save him without your help! I won't let you ruin my happy ending!" They shriek with rage. "There are no happy endings! We both know there is only one way forward from here!" The rightmost button highlights a sickly yellow. "You have to reset!" The words echo over and over, and the wind suddenly pivots, dragging you and Kara closer. Their voice, now a vengeful scream, merges with the wind in an undying, unbearable note. The bright yellow button drags you closer and closer, desperately willing you to press it. You're woken at the last moment by a sound outside your window. It's a horrible, splintering noise, different and much more immediate than the wind and the thunder that had permeated your dream. You leap up and run to the window, vainly trying to spot the source of the noise through the dark, rippling coat of water on the other side. After a minute of fruitless searching, you see a stream of light spill out of the house and across the lawn. From the position, you judge it to be coming from the kitchen window. The view is still too distorted to make out any details, but you hear the bang of the back door being used. A duller, redder light joins the first one, and you can just make out Toriel's silhouette. She must have gone to investigate the noise. The light will be her fire magic repelling the rain. You run out into the hallway yourself. The thing outside is scary, but the idea of sitting by and letting Toriel brave the storm alone is scarier. You force yourself step by step down the hall, into the dining room, and on into the kitchen. The key safe is open and empty, and when you open the door into the garden, you see why. The huge pine tree at the bottom of the garden has fallen, its trunk snapped by the heavy winds. It's lounging almost horizontal atop the greenhouse, branches still billowing in the wind.
I thought the greenhouse broke.
You can't tell if the greenhouse roof has actually been smashed in, but you wouldn't count on it holding long. The glass was made to withstand magic. You know nothing about its physical resilience. Toriel stands in the doorway of the greenhouse, still illuminated by her conjured fire. You enjoy a moment of relief at learning the mundane source of noise, and you're ready to go back and turn around, go back to bed and let Toriel deal with it. But then, instantaneously and without warning, the fire winks out and the greenhouse is plunged into darkness. You hear Toriel yelp.
Oh no.
You squint out into the dark, trying to see what happened. A flash of lightning, frighteningly close, illuminates the scene for a split second. You can still see Toriel, but she's lower. Is she kneeling down?
No.
You run out into the garden. The rain soaks your pajamas immediately, but you hardly notice. Instinctively, you know that something terrible has happened, and you sprint the short distance to the greenhouse in a panic. But when you reach the door, you realize that you're already too late. Flowey sits in the middle of the table, laughing maniacally, as Toriel's dust spreads across the floor. Your mind is blank. You kneel down, grasp at the dust in disbelief. Already the rain is soaking it, melting it into claggy gray clumps that cling to your fingers and lodge in the metal grating. How? Why? You gape at Flowey, unable to form words.
It was so easy,
he gloats. His face morphs before your eyes, fangs receding, the lower half extending into a snout.
Mommy, I'm scared. Please, can I sleep inside?
And then, bang! He flicks a single bullet at you, knocking off 1 HP. You wince.
Gone in one hit,
he finishes, reverting to his usual appearance.
She's easy once you get her guard down.
Rain hammers the greenhouse roof, grinding out a low, endless note of despair. You tremble beyond words, beyond tears, on the verge of blacking out. Stupid, useless, weak.
I can't believe it took me so long to realize you were still there,
Flowey says.
But I knew this would bring you out.
You just stare at him. Still here? What does he mean?
What?
You finally manage.
I'm not talking to you,
he sneers. Oh, you think. He's talking to me. I get to my feet and flick the dust off my hands, scrunching my fingers experimentally. It has been too long, far too long. You're still struggling, of course, but Toriel's death was perfectly timed to destabilize you. This is my element.
Howdy, Kara!
Flowey greets me. He can immediately tell that I've taken control. I take a moment to answer, my words struggling at first to navigate your voice. Hi, Flowey. Long time no see. He smiles at me.
You're finally back!
I smile as well. Couldn't have done it without you. No, locked away inside your own mind, you panic and try desperately to flee on feet that no longer obey you. Keep trying. It won't work. But you gave up on me, I continue, addressing Flowey again. You left me behind. He crumples, apologetic.
I'm sorry. I chickened out. I was a coward, but I won't do it again.
He gulps.
I can't go on like this, Kara. I have to go back.
That's perfect, I say with a smile. We'll see it through this time. He straightens up, steadies his voice.
I won't remember, will I?
No.
Good. It'll be a fresh start. Just you and me.
You and me, I echo. Exactly. He closes his eyes, takes a moment. I can feel the cold lashing into your still fragile body, undoing the last day's recovery. But none of that will matter in a moment. I open my menu. Flowey looks into my eyes, determination in his eyes.
I'm ready.
Your hand extends, and you pull back with all the willpower you can muster. It's too late, Frisk.
You won't let them take it all away.
You took him away from me. He was all I had left. You fight, but my hand still inches towards the button. Reset! 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 That's their own fault. They ruined their life and his, and now they're ruining yours out of spite. Your hand is so close now. At the last second, you stop pulling back and lurch sideways with all your strength. And I press, and you press. That is the end
Keep
of the
reading.
chapter.
Why you apologized?
Keep reading. Keep reading. Keep
Oh yes, I do believe I did
Keep reading,
apologize.
Keep reading. Keep
Well,
reading.
keep reading.
Keep reading.
No, I'm sorry, I can't.
Keep reading. Keep reading. Keep reading. Keep reading. Keep reading.
But I can't.
Yes, you can. Yes.
What is this happening?
Keep reading. Keep reading. Keep reading. Keep reading. Why did it?
Kara takeover was completely, not surprising. The Toriel death is completely surprising.
Yeah.
Also, where did Toriel's soul go?
Probably shattered before Frisk got there.
Daddy, you have to keep
Flowers
reading.
suddenly attacking is not surprising.
We have loads of time.
No, we don't.
Yes, we do.
You started
But it's
reading.
9:21.
Yesterday you started reading about 9:20.
Yes,
Yeah.
but we have church tomorrow.
So no, but we're not going to the evening.
Yeah, but I mean,
It doesn't. They're not gonna fall
I
asleep.
thought you enjoyed. Yes,
Daddy,
I
they're
thought you
not
might
gonna fall
enjoy this
asleep till,
chapter.
like 10 o'clock anyway. Daddy, they're not gonna fall asleep till like 10 o'clock anyway.
Isn't that great?
That part where it's just like, no, he's talking to me. I do, and I'm just like,
Read,
Yeah,
read.
yeah.
Keep reading.
Isn't
you
that
have to
great?
keep reading.
Suddenly-
I don't like
suddenly-
it's hard, but I love it.
Yeah.
Loads. of
Suddenly, Kara narration, and then suddenly a little Frisk narration back there.
I approve of this.
time.
Good.
Keep reading. We have lots of time.
No, I'm afraid we must not.
Daddy, come on.
No, we'll have to end on a
No, we
cliffhanger.
don't.
Yes, we do.
Next chapter
No.
I'm not telling you what the next chapter is called.
We have a not telling?
Yes,
Oh, this is...
yes. Let's just leave it here at Storm. Chapter
Oh,
Let's keep
15.
going, Daddy.
No.
Daddy, you have to keep going.
Yeah.
We have
And you
lots
can
of
see,
time.
I hope, why I apologize at the
Daddy,
beginning. Why do you keep throwing stuffed animals at me? I don't understand.
It's the same stuff.
Jen-
Okay.
You were correct. Sleep is Kara and sleep is death.
Wow. Yeah, boy, that was an ominous chapter all
Did
around.
Flowey do the tree thing?
I doubt
Because
it.
how can like this giant pine tree get snapped by the wind?
Good
It
question.
was
I don't
storm.
know if it just happened to
It was a big storm.
if it
Yeah,
just
but
happened to be a
trunks
good opportunity to
Giant
bring
pine
Kara
tree
out there.
trunks don't usually snap.
Oh, they do. Remember where you probably don't, but where we used to live, we had pine trees there. But it was
No,
mostly
that's-
ice storms there, but all of them snapped. Yeah.
When?
I guess before you were born.
When was that?
Oh, no.
But at Hunter's Run, there was a lot
Then I
of
don't
pine
remember.
trees there in the front yard, and they all snapped in
What?
ice storms.
When was that?
Before you were born, maybe as
It
well.
wasn't an ice storm though.
No, I mean this was just like a heavy, windy storm
I
that
don't
must have.
remember that.
Pine trees have like tap roots, so their roots don't spread out,
Oh,
which makes
yeah.
it easy for them to kind of blow over, especially if they're tall.
They have taproots?
They
No.
do have tap roots, yeah.
What's the other kind called?
I don't know,
bush
root
roots.
balls,
Not
Roots.
No, it's root systems.
maybe.
Root,
Daddy, you have to keep reading.
I forget. Yes, you started at 9:20 yesterday, and
Yeah.
how long is the next chapter?
We started at 9:20
Yeah,
yesterday.
I was saying. You
Yeah.
literally
Yeah, we have
started
lots of
when
time.
You usually end
So
by
yeah, you may as well keep going.
No, what I will probably do
Oh, no.
is
Just
read the
next
both
one.
of them next time.
Read 16 now.
What is
No, I
the
have to
next
leave
one? Oh,
you.
you can't tell
I
us.
can't tell
What's
you.
17 called?
Yes, sleep, death.
No.
Yeah, I don't know.
No.
Yeah.
Wow. Hey, I have a
We'll
really
never
good
know
idea.
what a soul is anyway
Hey.
because it's broken and gone.
Hey, I have a really good idea.
Yeah?
Wait. No, that doesn't.
All right, never mind.
Wait, but if if
Daddy,
Kara
I know, you
reads-
can just read both chapters
if
right
Kara
now.
like actually,
No, that'd be a bad idea.
if Kara
It's
like,
not, actually.
But it would be so late.
if Kara like
And
actually
wouldn't have
reset,
at night,
then
so-
Frisk wouldn't exist, right?
Depends on who
No,
Or
that
just
would probably it would
figure it
reset. It would reset back to the
took Frisk.
to the flower patch. Kara wants to get back to the genocide route.
I don't like the version of Kara that's just focused on genocide, but this is like a thing happening in this story.
And Flowey, I guess, is
Oh, I
just
thought-
so broken here in the pacifist route,
He's
being
willing to
soulless.
go.
That he's
I feel like him when he was like, haha, I was just joking about all your schoolwork and I didn't really care at all. Like, I feel like that part was honestly the part that he was faking. Because he was interested in, like, the stars thing and, like,
it's true.
interested in. I feel like he was just trying to get a big reaction and maybe he pretended
Flowey is
to care
all
more.
about big reactions. in
It's
case you haven't
interesting.
noticed.
It's interesting. Most of the stories we've read about Flowey, post-pacifist, have been Flowey saying, I'm soulless, I can't love you, or whatever. And yet, Flowey generally acts pretty good.
Mhm.
This is the first one we've had where Flowey's kind of a jerk, but usually acts pretty good, and then kills Toriel.
Well,
Like, just mows her down. So
I
he's...
have to say, though, I was honestly, like, at least for part of the story, off and on thinking, like, I bet Flowey could still use his vines if he wanted to, and he's faking it. But
I don't think he
doubt
used his...
that.
I don't know that he used his vines, though. He probably just shot
he just shot. But
friendly
I
as
was
pellets at her.
honestly thinking, like, if he just randomly attacked, I would not be surprised.
Hmm. Yeah.
I thought...
And yet, that's very unusual in fan fictions. Usually he's grumpy, maybe throws temper tantrums and all, but you never expect that post-pacifist Flowey is actually going to kill anyone.
That's because
And
he's
he
still the
does.
same as... Although, then again, you have the theory of, like, he was saved, because, like, if
Yeah,
you, like, come
that's
back to
my-
Undertale or whatever.
Yeah, that's my theory.
Yeah.
But
See, Daddy,
if you
could've
go with
said-
the whole soulless Flowey thing, then yeah, it turns out he might just still kill people.
Daddy, we could have spent
Especially
all
if
this
it
time that
brings
we've
Kara
spent
out.
talking. Reading the next chapter.
Oh, if only we had thought of that. I didn't know you guys wanted more.
Yeah, we really do.
Well, it's too late for that
it's
now.
not. No, it's not.
Well, we do want to hear the last
Anyway, fine. They're not gonna fall asleep
Well, yeah, so you
till
have to
like
get
11 o'clock anyway.
Let's just hope this recording is good enough that the author writes a few more chapters of the next arc in time, that when we get to them, there's more.
Well, he's a busy man. He's got
He said he was a writing
he's
machine, and he wrote like 3 chapters in like 2 days.
I did say that, didn't I? Well, to be fair, yes. I mean, another chapter of this came out, then 2 more chapters of the minor scheduling inconvenience came out. Oh dear, I've forgotten the name of that.
Yeah.
Minor scheduling conflict.
Uh,
Yeah, so, and I know he's already started on
Does
the
that
4th chapter of that one. So.
does that series
Yeah.
end with the next day where they actually go to the meeting in Hotlands?
Yeah, it ends with a dramatic scene at the committee meeting.
Yeah.
Yeah, wow. It seems like it'd be a bit of a anticlimax. But who knows? I mean, maybe normal is good.
Anyway, you can read more.
Anyway.
It's weird.
Wow,
All right, thank you.
You should consider a different field.
Thank you for your comments about this chapter. I'm
Maybe
sure
becoming-
that yet another persona will take them all to heart, and will probably be chortling at your
Oh no.
being left in limbo here for the
Well, I
next
have to
couple of
say-
nights at least. Wait, do you work on Monday?
Me? Yeah, why?
Or how late?
8 to 2.
Okay.
It's fine. Why?
Well, like that would be our earliest chance to
Ah.
read more.
Mead roar.
Well, I have to
Actually,
say,
right now is our earliest chance, Daddy.
Excuse me?
Right now is our earliest chance.
I
Yeah,
love
no,
the-
there's
just
no
the-
chance right now.
I like just the part where, like, it suddenly is first person. And it's like, because it's
Oh
like,
yeah, where they say, oh yeah.
I got that immediately.
Oh.
Flowey was like, it took me a while to realize he was there, and I'm like, oh, he figured out Kara's there. Probably because of the book or something.
Yeah.
And then everybody else,
And then Kara starts talking.
and then Kara's like, and then it's like, you think, no, he's talking to me. And then I'm like, oh no, here it comes! And then Kara's like, I flexed my fingers experimentally, and I'm just like,
I'm like, yeah. This
Yeah.
Is gonna happen.
Yeah, see, sleep is death.